All right. Welcome back. Sorry about that interruption. Anyways, what I want to do, I was just now thinking about it before I move on. I had finished talking to you guys about solutions for systems of equations. One thing you could do, like take number 3 right here. I didn't graph it for you guys, but what you could do is you can go to right here, app called Desmos. It's a graphing calculator. So I took these two equations. These were the two equations that were given, and I put them in just as I saw them, and then you can see the graph right here. Okay, these are two parallel lines. They're not going to cross or intersect each other. Um, Notice that the second one I put in, like I said, just as it was given. You don't have to put the equations in slope-intercept form. It'll still graph them for you guys. When you guys get on to other things, well, for the inequalities, I'll show you guys that later. All right. So I was talking to you guys about systems of inequalities, and remember the solutions to the systems of inequalities is where the two graphs, the shading overlap each other. So you want to make sure that you're not just scribbling in for your shading, because you want to, be sure about where things are being shaded. So let's see if we can get this going. The first one, like I said before, you can graph it any way you want, but I'm going to choose to start by plotting the y-intercept, which is 4. That's the b value. And my slope, even though you don't see it, it's a -1, a negative shy guy right there. So that means if I go down 1 to the right one, I'm going to put a dot. And I'm going to keep that same pattern going, down 1 to the right one, down 1 to the right one. Okay, now the next thing is these are inequalities. They are not equations. So it's not necessarily a solid line. It can be a dashed line. So remember, we've got these boundary lines can be solid or dashed. And in this case, it's a dashed line because the inequality is, in this case, a greater than symbol. If it doesn't have an or equal to line or a line underneath it, the inequality, then it's going to be a dashed line. So I'm going to draw this as a dashed line, which means the solution cannot be on this line. Okay, if it's dashed, that means it's not included in as one of the solutions. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shade it. Okay, now when you're shading these inequalities, you guys can kind of think about it two ways. One, you can pick a point and you can plug it into the equation and see if it is true or not. So if I pick the point, the easiest one, as long as it's not on the line, is 0, 0. That means x is 0 and y is 0. So if I put 0 in for y and 0 in for x, this is going to say 0 less than, well, that's 0 plus 4, so that's 4. I'm sorry, not less than, greater than. Is 0 greater than 4? No, that's incorrect. Okay, so that means that the shading is not going to happen where I pick this point. It's not going to be on this. So here's the line, anything below it. It's going to happen above this line, so it's going to be here. This is where the shading goes. If the point is not true, then it goes on the other side of the line. Another way you guys can think about this is anytime it's greater than, it's above the line. If it's less than, then it's below the line. Okay. Some people have a hard time, figuring out what's above, what's below. So that's why you can always pick a point and then plug it in to see, does it make the inequality true? If it does, then that's the side that you're shading on. If it doesn't, then you shade on the other side. All right, let's do the next one. Now, it's best when you guys are doing this to use different colors, pen and a pencil, or two different color markers or colored pencils, pens, just so that way you can tell where the two lines are, and you're not kind of confused with the shading. So the next one, the y-intercept is at 2, and my slope is 2 over 5. That means if I go up 2, I go to the right 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, boom. But I don't have enough room to do another one, so I'm going to go the opposite way. Start at my y-intercept, and this time I'm going to go down 2 to the left 5. Now, is this going to be a solid or is this going to be a dashed line? Boom. It's going to be a dashed line because this does not have an or equal to line underneath it. So my line is dashed just like the other one. All right, now I'm going to shade. Now, like I said before, you can always pick a point, and 0, 0 is always the easiest to pick, but if it's on the line, you can't pick that point. You got to pick something else. So if I plug 0 in here for x, that's going to be 0 times 2/5, which is just 0. And I plug 0 in for y, and that's 0 plus 2. So is 0 less than 2? Yes, it is. So I'm going to shade here where this point was, on that side of the line. And the other way you guys can look at this inequality is it says it's less than, and less than, think about it, below the line, greater than, above the line. Now there's a lot going on here, but what we're really looking for is the point where these intersect, or sorry, overlap each other. So I'm looking at this graph going, oh, you know what? Notice that these lines are going different directions. This is where I'm looking for this checkered pattern. If it helps, I'm going to shade this in right here for you. Make it a little bit darker. So the solution is any point where I'm shading. Any point in here. And know that it doesn't just stop here and here. It keeps going on. It's going to technically go off of this graph and keep going. But this is the solution area. So as long as you pick a coordinate point in here and you plug them in, it's going to make both of these inequalities true. So again, any of those points are considered solutions. All right, let's try another one. So the first thing I would do is I would take these equations and I would put them into slope-intercept form. So this first one, I'm going to need to add 3x. So this is going to say y less than or equal to 3x minus 1. Okay, the next one, I'm going to divide everything by 2. And that's going to say y greater than equal to 4x minus 3. All right, let's graph them. So the first one, I have a y-intercept at -1. And then I have a slope of 3, or 3 over 1. So my rise over my run means go up 3, 1, 2, 3, to the right 1. Up 3, 1, 2, 3, to the right 1. You can keep going, but you kind of get the general idea. Now, is this one going to be a solid or a dashed line? That tells me, that line underneath of the inequality, that it's going to be a solid line. So this is a solid line. Okay, and then the next one. Nope. How about that shading? Am I going to shade above the line or am I going to shade below the line? Okay. Well, it is a what? What do we got here? Less than symbol. So hopefully most of you guys kind of know where we're going to shade. But if you're not sure, like I said before, pick a point, and as long as it's not on the line, and if you're not sure where that line is, like I didn't do a great job, but I probably wouldn't pick 0, 0 just in case. I'm going to pick something a little bit more definite, like 2, 0. So that means my x value is 2 and my y value is 0. So that's going to be 0 less than or equal to 2 times 3 is 6. 6 minus 1 is 5. Is 0 less than or equal to 5? Yes. Okay, so that means that point's true. That means everything on this side is true. All right, look at the next one. My y-intercept is at -3. My slope is 4, or 4 over 1. So if I go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. Do it again, up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. Okay, is this one going to be a solid or a dashed line? That tells me that it's going to be a solid line. Here we go. All right, and am I going to shade above or below the line? Well, this is a greater than symbol, and greater than means shade above the line. All right, so there's a lot going on here. Understand that where it's just the red is not part of the solution. Okay, the solution is, again, where these overlap each other. So that would be right in here. Okay, it's a small little sliver of space, but that is, again, where they are going to overlap each other. Just in case you guys are having a hard time seeing, what I'm going to do is show you guys with Desmos. So what's that look like? The first equation was y equals 3x minus 1. And the next equation will, not equals. These are inequalities. So to find this inequality, I might have to, I need this button here. Interesting. I need the, let's go with less than. There we go. So y is less than or equal to 3x plus 3x minus 1, and the other one's going to be y is, now I'm going to use the shift, all right, and greater than symbol, boom. And then I'm also going to put the equal sign in there, the plus equals, put the equals, and that puts the or equal to. And then this one is 4x minus 3. Boom. So like I was saying before, you guys see this little sliver right in here? This is where the two graphs are overlapping each other. Any point in here would be a solution. So like 0, -2. That's a solution right here. This point, 0, -2. Okay, anything along here is considered a solution. Anything in here. Okay. All right. Two more. Number 6. Okay, again, first thing we should do is look to put it in slope-intercept form. Okay? Again, you don't have to, but for me, I think it's easier. Here, I would subtract 3x on both sides, and that's going to give me, let's go with blank, 4y greater than or equal to minus 3x minus 12. Some of you guys might think, well, don't you flip the direction of the inequality? Nope, that only happens anytime you multiply or divide by a negative number. Does the inequality change direction? Okay, all I did was subtract. Subtracting doesn't change the direction of the inequality. Now I'm going to divide by 4. Y greater than or equal to -3/4 x minus 3. Okay. -3, there's my y-intercept. My slope is -3/4. So if I go down 3, 1, 2, 3, to the right 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or I start at the y-intercept and go the other direction. Go up 3, 1, 2, 3, to the left 4. Boom. Is this one a solid or a dashed line? That tells us right there. It's a solid line. Okay, am I shading above it or am I going to shade below it? If you're not sure, you pick a point. You know, 0, 0 is the easiest. 0 for x, 0 for y. That becomes 0 minus 3. 0 greater than or equal to -3. Yes, 0 is greater than or equal to -3. Okay. All right, the other one has a y-intercept at 1 and a slope of -1/4. Down 1/4, or go the other direction. Start the y-intercept and go up 1 to the left 4. All right, solid or dashed line. This one, inequality does not have a line underneath it, so this is going to be a dashed line. Am I going to shade above or below it? Oh, I'm going to shade below it. All right, I don't know if you guys can see it, but this is the point where they're overlapping each other. So this would be the solution set. Any point in here is considered a solution. All right, so you pick a point, you plug it in for the x, you plug it in for the y. It doesn't make the inequality true. If it does, it's a solution. All right, last one. Subtract 3x on both sides. So that's 5y greater than or equal to minus 3x minus 10. Divide by 5. Negative 3/5 x minus 2. We have a y-intercept at negative 2. We're going to go down 3 to the right 5. Or I'm going to do the opposite way and go up 3 to the left 5. This one is a solid line. Right there. Tells me it's a solid line. This is a greater than symbol, which means I'm going to shade above it. You can actually shade the whole thing if you want, but like I said, that gets real messy and sometimes hard to see what you're dealing with when you do that. The other inequality is negative 3. And it says I go down 3 to the right 5, negative 3/5. Oh my God, do you know what's going to happen? 1, 2, 3. Or I can do the opposite and go up 3 to the left 5. This one's a dashed line. Where do the lines cross each other? They don't. All right, this says y is less than. So less than's below it. Okay, what about the shading? Does the shading cross each other? Nope. So if the shading's not crossing each other, what does that mean? No solution. Okay, just like in systems of equations, if the lines never intersect, there's no solutions. With systems of inequalities, if the shading never overlaps each other, then there's no solution. Okay, I could show you guys. Maybe a little clearer here. Let's see if I get this right. Y is greater than or equal to negative 3. I use the forward slash, and then I put in the 5, but then I put the right arrow, which gets it out of the fraction, x minus 2. Okay. And the other one, I don't need that one, is y is less, no, that's not less than, negative 3 divided by 5, right arrow, x minus 3. Boom. All right, you guys can see the shading is not overlapping here. Okay, and again, that means that there is no solution. Okay, well, I hope that that's been informative to you guys, and please make sure you guys get caught up with everything. Like I said before, tomorrow is the last day, and you don't want to wait until the very last minute because there is no extension in time. All right, so it's been stated. You guys know that by 11 o'clock tomorrow, you guys should be done with everything. So please make sure you guys are working through getting this stuff done. And then if you need to, go back and retake any of those mastery tests to raise that grade up if you need. All right. Talk to you guys later. All right. Bye.